Imagine this. The Palestinians and the Israelis have come to the table. They're excited and eager to dig in. But it's not a negotiation table. It's a dinner table. It's a dinner table for what you might call a dysfunctional family. A dysfunctional family that has many flaws and a long list of shortcomings. But seriously, we all know that the Palestinian and Israeli conflict is not a balanced one. And unfortunately, the failed diplomacy of the governments involved have yet to successfully deliver a viable solution that is just and fair for the two sides. True, we had many years of negotiations. Many have not, but nothing yet. I mean, look, we still have occupation for the past 50 years. 50 years of occupation that brought no peace and no security for the Palestinians or for the Israelis. Meanwhile, while they're all sitting and thinking what they should do with the people, I think we, the people, should be the ones to decide what we should do with the people. Don't you? We, the people, together have the power to change anything. We must never give up on peace. And we must always try to minimize the hurt and suffering that touched both sides. Wars and walls have a way of creating and fostering hate and violence. And if we as citizens sit and watch without being involved, it will keep on destroying many more generations to come. I strongly believe that peace can be achieved with civil, non-violent negotiations and understanding. And conflicts can only be resolved when the two people start thinking of each other as humans, having the same rights and having the same needs. Like the need to break bread at the same table, together. What can go wrong if we have a table full of hummus and falafel for everyone? Maybe hummus can help bring harmony. I was born in a small town in the West Bank of Palestine, 1959. I was 8 years old at the beginning of the 1967 war. We fled to Jordan. That was the beginning of the Israeli military occupation of the West Bank and Gaza. We left everything behind. A year later, half of my family felt safe to come back to Palestine, but the other half stayed in Jordan. That family split, that family separation became permanent. My dream was to really come and live in the US. I was introduced to the US by the magical powers of Donna Reed through a 20-inch black and white television. Do you guys remember when your TV set was part of your furniture pieces? Summer of 1973, no judgment now. I was 14 years old and about to be married to a 22-year-old man from my town, but lived in the US. A month later, we immigrated and landed in Northern California. As excited as I was to finally make it to America, I realized I don't know anything about this country. I didn't know the language. I didn't know the culture. And oh my God, I did not know the food. I could not relate to the food. Nothing tasted like my mother's food. Nothing smelled like the Palestinian food. Oh my God, no zayt? No za'atar? How can I go on? What do the Americans eat then? Being a Palestinian, who knows the people's continuous struggle to freedom, and having the need to hear the Palestinian story be told in its most authentic, positive, and truthful form, I wanted to be involved. I heard about a group in Northern California near me called the Palestinian Jewish Dialogue. I attended a meeting. I went to a meeting. In the dialogue, the two sides sit face to face, and they listen to each other. It kind of humanizes the conflict. It creates mutual respect and understanding, empathy for the other. At the dialogue, I met many people from both sides, from the Palestinian community and the Jewish and Israeli community. They became longtime friends, like the Traubmans, Sander and Faye, Rabbi Harry, Naftali and Dudi. These people shared my hopes and aspirations for freedom and equality for all. Now, together, we've done amazing projects to try and help and bring the two people together. We had concerts. Some of our events were concerts. We brought a Palestinian musician and an Israeli musician to dialogue through music. Then we fundraised and we sent containers of blankets and medical supplies and wheelchairs to the West Bank and Gaza. My friend Rabbi Harry and I will visit our local schools, educating the students on our story. Two people, one land. I connected a family from Nablus, Palestine, when their son Abbas, who was 5 years old, was just diagnosed with leukemia. To Safi, an Israeli. She helped me find him the right hospital in Israel to start the proper treatment. Building friendships and dealing with each other on an equal level made me realize how powerful it is to appeal to someone's sense of humanity. People were starting to get along then. Fears and stereotypes were diminishing. It was a little bit easier to do at that time, or I should say getting easier to do at that time. Then they built that wall, which cut off the two people from each other. My need to keep connecting people and my love for sharing my Palestinian cuisine gave me an idea worth spreading. It's called, wait for it, My Healing Table, Our Healing Table. A healing table where the dishes are the same ingredients, but different flavors. A healing table where it has human stories and human emotions. Listen, I know, I might not be able to end the occupation and bring freedom to the Palestinians. And I know I might not bring security to the Israeli people. But my hopes is maybe people will get inspired and connected and become united in the face of hatred and discrimination. For instance, I was a guest speaker at the Washington University, St. Louis. The event was organized by the Muslim and Jewish students. We met on campus for lunch so we could meet the students, the professors, and the other speaker. When the other speaker, Jeffrey, walked in, naturally, I got up and I extended my hand. Shake his hand. But Jeffrey wouldn't take my hand. And then he said something, I don't shake hands with Palestinians. Okay? But you know, I thought, I kept my cool because I'm like, maybe this withdrawal that he has was caused by losing a loved one to the conflict. Then he said to me, no, that wasn't the case. So I'm like, okay. So during lunch, while we're eating, I kept engaging him in the conversation. When time came in for us to do our speeches, Jeffrey has already moved from lunchtime to dinner time, from hostility to acceptance. He even told the audience about him not wanting to shake a Palestinian hand. And he said, after meeting her at lunch, I went back to my office and softened my speech. A lot. After our talk was done, I introduced him to the Palestinians in the audience. I was so pleased to know that they carried on the dialogue for years to come. And like my friend Itamar and I, he's an Israeli student in New York. Him and I, we cooked up a healing table at NYU. Yeah. When this audience started walking in, and this always happens at any event, the Palestinians and the supporters are on this side, the Israelis and their supporters are on this side. As soon as we started cooking our food, we cooked shakshuka, and the aroma filled the room. I saw the two sides reach into that healing table with the zayt and the za'atar and the hummus crisscrossing to dip their bread. They were engaging. They were talking. What thrilled me even more, that I saw the young generation was so open for conversation with the other. And Jacksonville, you guys just had your first healing table last Wednesday on the FSCU grounds. Shai and I cooked up the most delicious and perfect healing table. I want us all together to do healing table. In every community, in every house of worship, at every university, every neighborhood. Let the people come, meet, get to know each other. Imagine that table, running freely through the hills, meadows, open fields, with countless seats, connecting a world where no one is oppressed. A world where the children run free and safe. A world with no more hunger, no more wars. A world that connects all countries with bridges instead of walls. And a world that we all watch out and care for each other instead of being afraid of each other. I invite you all to be my guests at that table with open arms, and my peace allies. I ask of you to join me at my table. Heck, it's our table now. Will you hold a seat for me at yours? Thank you.